Hey there, thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday. Always appreciate your time. Great to see you. I'm Veronica Cruz. Here are the top stories that we're tracking for you right now.
It was wild. It was watching the entire town burn from the ocean.
These wildfires now are so much more intense, so much bigger, move so much quicker.
Everyone that I know and love, everyone that I'm related to, that I communicate with, my colleagues, friends, family, we're all homeless.
We are grieving with each other during this inconsolable time.
Another court hearing for former President Donald Trump set for today.
This is all about that superseding indictment surrounding the classified documents case.
If you're the judge, I don't think you want to take any kind of chances that some document ends up in a place that's accessible to anyone other than people with security clearances.
Helen Moore was traumatized by what happened after she went to the emergency room with a mental health crisis.
Emergency rooms become the dumping ground for those patients.
I've had people down there for more than 2 weeks before.
I just wanted to help, and I just felt like I was being thrown away.
Welcome to Scripps News Live. We begin this hour with Paradise Lost, a series of wildfires reducing the scenic vistas of Maui to embers, ash, and rubble. At least 36 people are now dead, others still missing. Many survivors leaving everything behind to save their lives. Right now, thousands of people are still in the dark, with several counties reporting widespread power outages. And it's also making it extremely difficult for people to communicate right now. Whether it's by phone or internet, residents have been struggling to call for help. Meteorologist Scott Withers joins us now live. He is at the Maui airport and has the very latest for us. Crowds of people there, Scotty, have been trying to find their way to safety. I understand that flights have been arriving to the island, or those have been canceled, actually. Are there flights even able to evacuate residents?
Yeah, there are flights, Veronica. I'm here at the airport. Let me step out of the way so you can see here. It is just a mass of people. I've been here for 8 hours. Right now, Southwest Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines are starting to fly people out. Those flights are on time and people are moving, but not everyone you see behind me has a ticket, because there are a lot of flights were canceled yesterday and they're trying to rebook, and there's not a lot of space on all of these flights. Lots of people, their vacations have been cut short. They don't know how they're going to get home. Talked to a father this morning. He's got 6 people in his family. He said he was told it could be up to 2 weeks before he can get enough seats, 6 seats together to get off the island. And this is all happening because those wildfires still raging out of control just a few miles away. Wildfire smoke is shrouding Maui neighborhoods. From the sky, the damage appears widespread. From the ground, apocalyptic. Historic Front Street, the major tourist destination, going up in flames. Homes and buildings destroyed. The street makes up 80% of the island's tourism. Jeff Melikar shot this video of his neighborhood as he evacuated. His small town in flames, his home destroyed. The fires ripping through several communities, thousands evacuating.
People basically running for their lives.
Our house was gone. Everything that we had ever known was gone.
Everyone I know in Lahaina, their homes have been burned down.
Roads across the island closing.
We have had 13 evacuations from different neighborhoods and towns.
Tourists caught in the firestorm, leaving behind their belongings, fleeing hotels and rental houses, taking shelter at the airport.
We started evacuating them this morning using the backside of the island, which is a very narrow and precarious drive, but we are getting them out and getting them to the airport to hopefully get them off island.
The state encouraging tourists not to visit. Some airlines canceling flights. Residents are being encouraged to conserve water.
No power is out. They're having problems with water.
All of the island's firefighters battling the blaze, more coming in from other islands. The winds driven by Hurricane Dora should die down throughout Thursday, giving firefighters a chance to save their island. There's thousands of people here. They've been busing them in from various hotels and neighborhoods trying to get people evacuated. There is a glimmer of hope. Rain. It has been consistently raining for several hours this morning, and that is good news. That's going to help put out a lot of the hot spots, and it's also going to help beat down some of the really big wildfires that the firefighters are out there trying to battle. Let's talk about the winds. Take a look at the Pacific satellite. This is important. Hurricane Dora moving almost off your screen there, way past the state of Hawaii. But as it was spinning, it was throwing the winds back up here towards the state of Hawaii. There was a high pressure system above it. They were squeezing those winds, and that's why we were seeing them come in at 60, 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts. Those have died way down. And Veronica, that is huge news for the firefighters. They're going to be able to get in there between the rain and the winds dying off. They're going to be able to get to these fires and hopefully knock them down today. Veronica?
Yeah, Scotty, that's just, it's a little bit of good news. There is a little bit of good news there, but I wanted to ask you, because I know that the state of Hawaii was preparing for Hurricane Dora, but instead we're seeing wildfires. How did these fires become so catastrophic?
Well, it was a combination of three factors. First, the winds from Hurricane Dora really whipping through here. Then on top of that, this state has really been under a drought, extreme drought, especially in the areas where the fires took place. And then finally, very low humidity. There was no water vapor in the air. You put all three of those together and it was a recipe for catastrophe. And that is exactly what happened here.
All right, meteorologist Scott Withers live for us there in Maui. Scotty, thank you so much. Coverage of the Hawaii wildfires will continue throughout the day right here on Scripps News. So it's been another busy legal day for former President Trump. The arraignment for the superseding indictment filed by special counsel Jack Smith in the classified documents case in Florida took place this morning. More charges for the former president, raising the total count from 37 now to 42. And he has two co-defendants in this case. National political correspondent Avjoy Burnett joins us now live from Washington. Avjoy, bring us up to speed. What happened in court this morning and who was there?
Hi, Veronica. Good afternoon to you. Well, both of the president's co-defendants were inside that courtroom today. We're talking about Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira. Walt Nauta, he walked into the courtroom today and he entered a plea of not guilty. Remember, this is just a repeat of what we saw last month because it's the same indictment with additional charges. So no surprise there. Nauta entered a plea of not guilty. The former president, Donald Trump, he was not there. He waived his right to appear for this hearing today, and he too also pleaded not guilty. But the big change here was for the third co-defendant in this case, Carlos de Oliveira. It was anticipated that he would be arraigned today, and this is where he would enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. But it appears as if he continues to have issues with acquiring an attorney who's able to represent him there in the Southern District of Florida. And this could be significant because this could potentially slow the case down. We want to show you a quick calendar that we put together to give you a timeline of what's been happening with Carlos de Oliveira's case. Right after the superseding indictment came down, he had his initial court appearance a few days later on July 31st, and then he was set to be arraigned today. Remember, that's once again where he would enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. But because of that issue, things have been pushed off now to next week, Tuesday. We did the math here. That's about 13 days. And so there's a possibility that this could delay things for about 2 weeks. So this could potentially be significant. Veronica, this is what I am sure prosecutors are taking a look at because they want to move forward with a speedy trial. Remember, they were moving for a trial date to be in December. It's been pushed back to mid-May or late May. It's May 20th when things are supposed to start. So there's a possibility that they will really be taking a close look at all of these potential delays to see how it adds up on the back end.
Really interesting that you should mention that, given that this is a district that is known for its rocket docket or its speedy trials. Avjoy, I wanted to ask you about the former president who's been wanting special accommodations surrounding these classified documents. What has he been asking for specifically?
So this is something that we found in some new court filings that came out yesterday. The former president, along with his legal team, they're asking that the court allow them to have him look at these classified documents in an area that's at his property or near his property. And so remember that we're handling classified documents here. So there's something that's known as a SCIF. It's an area where you're able to look at sensitive material. So that is the request that we're getting from the former president's team. They want for something that's more convenient for him. And really, this is vital as they prepare their defense. We want to show you a portion of what they wrote in their argument to the court to try to convince the judge to rule in their favor. They said, "This request is based on the immense practical and logistical hurdles and costs that make it virtually impossible for President Trump to make regular trips to a public facility. That public facility, once again, is known as the SCIF, and that's where people are able to look at sensitive material. But of course, as you can imagine, the prosecutors in this case are really pushing for these documents to be limited in where you're able to view them. And this is what they wrote in their arguments to the court. They said there's no basis for the defendant's request that he be given the extraordinary authority to discuss classified information at his residence. And it's particularly striking that he seeks permission to do so in the very location at which he's charged with willfully retaining the documents charged in this case. We spoke with a former federal prosecutor who is in that very district in the Southern District of Florida, and he gave us some insight on how the judge could possibly rule in this matter.
You want to spend less time, I guess, traveling. But I would think the judge is going to sort of move this on the side of protecting the documents in the process, because we know one thing: there are clearly documents in there that are considered classified that have security implications. And if you're the judge, I don't think you want to take any kind of chances that some document ends up in a place that's accessible to anyone other than people with security clearances.
And the ultimate decision on if the former president will be able to look at these classified documents at or near his home will be up to the judge. Veronica, of course, that's something that we will be tracking.
Of course, and we're going to have to see if this delays matters even further. Avjoy Burnett live for us there in Washington. Avjoy, thank you. And you can find deeper dives on all of these stories and much more online. Feel free to check us out at scripsnews.com. Also on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads. Straight ahead on Scripps News Live, a small American city that's become an unlikely safe haven for Ukrainian refugees. And we'd like to hear from you. Give us a call on our Scripps News viewer hotline. That number is toll free and it's on your screen right now. It's 1-833-4-SCRIPPS. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas.
Nothing is more important than family. A family you're born into, a family you choose, or a family you make. I'm Padma Lakshmi. I came to this country when I was 4 years old with my mother. We came here because it was a land of opportunity. But for many, that's not the case.
Porque primero me separaron de mi mamá y de ahí de mi hermano.
Immigrant families are being separated. Black and brown families are torn apart by a broken legal system. LGBTQ people suffer discrimination in adoption and healthcare. The need to protect and defend the civil liberties we all hold dear is more urgent than ever because families belong together. You can help by joining the American Civil Liberties Union today.
Call or go online now and become an ACLU Guardian of Liberty. All it takes is just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day.
The ACLU has fought to allow LGBTQ couples to marry, for racial justice, to stop family separation. We can't do this work without you. Together, we can defend our democracy, ensure liberty and justice for all, and keep families strong.
So please, call the ACLU now or go to myaclu.org. When you use your credit card, you'll receive this special member kit to show you're part of a movement to defend free speech, protect our civil liberties, and keep families together.
I hope you'll join me in supporting the ACLU today, because we, the people, means all of us.
Call or go online to myaclu.org to become a Guardian of Liberty today.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
How does Klein Inspector get among the most big verdicts and settlements of any law firm in the country? Because Klein Inspector is an award-winning team with 5 doctor lawyers, the most of any firm in the United States. And that's why the New York Times calls Klein Inspector a powerhouse law firm. So if a defective product, motor vehicle accident, or medical malpractice caused a catastrophic injury, call Klein Inspector.
A chilling warning from Ukraine's state power company. It says Europe's largest nuclear power plant is on the verge of a blackout. The reason is a loss of power to the plant's main external power source. Operators have switched to a backup line that is less than half as strong, and they're worried about possible exposure to radiation if things get worse. The International Atomic Energy Commission has a small team at the plant right now and has yet to comment. In the meantime, more than 6 million people have left their homes in Ukraine due to the war. That's according to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Dozens of them have ended up in a small Wisconsin town. National correspondent Ben Chamiso says it's largely due to the efforts of 4 women.
Thousands of miles away from the front lines, 15 Ukrainian families have improbably found their way here to Stoughton, a small town in Wisconsin. Here, they are building new lives and slowly recovering from the trauma of war. A Ukrainian mother and her 4 daughters at last reaching the safety of America. After 10 years of terror in war-torn eastern Ukraine, they are starting new lives in Stoughton, a Wisconsin town of 13,000 near Madison. And in the process, they are being embraced by a large community of fellow Ukrainian refugees.
She's a strong woman and she has courage to move. So it's
Ksenia Soccer, who resettled here over a year ago and is now bilingual, is helping us grasp the harrowing situation Yulia Davidova and her daughters just escaped.
It's really hard to feel fear all the time that today could be your last day.
Davidova is from Avdiivka, a frontline town that Russia has reduced to rubble and where there is no electricity nor running water.
Lots of people just died not from the rockets but from different diseases.
Davidova escaped thanks to her old neighbors Ilya and Natalia Poroshkov. After the Poroshkovs resettled to Stoughton in December, they begged their American sponsor to also help Davidova.
So Ilya told us about this family, and I couldn't get them out of my mind.
Renee Lushai is the co-founder and co-director of Stoughton Resettlement, a non-profit that has resettled 51 refugees since 2022. Lushai has sponsored 10 of them herself, and despite the language barrier, they have become one big family.
Natalia says we could not even imagine that we would be welcomed here like that. They gave us all the care, housing, and everything for a wonderful life. We are very grateful to the whole team.
It was in this kitchen over 2 years ago that Lushai first brought up the resettlement idea to her co-directors. A mob had just stormed the US Capitol on January 6, and Lushai felt the need to do something uplifting. Today, the 4 women, alongside donors and volunteers, are supporting 16 families, providing them with furnished apartments,
And this will probably be your room, Yulia.
and helping children enroll in school and adults find jobs and health insurance.
They're people like my family. They're people like my neighbors' families. We're lucky that we were not born next to Russia.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you.
Last October, when the Biden administration allowed Americans to also sponsor Venezuelans, Lushai and her co-directors brought in Rosani Sanchez.
We didn't want all of the refugees to look just like us. They don't need to.
As for Yulia Davidova, she says she's still scarred by a decade of war.
When something loud like thunder, it's hard to feel this feeling because you can remember all this stuff.
But she's about to get a much-needed morale boost. Her husband and her cat will soon join her and her daughters in America to start new lives as one big reunited family. Ben Chamiso, Scripps News, Stoughton, Wisconsin.
Coming up next on Scripps News Live, we're going to explain why the Iowa State Fair plays a key role in a presidential candidate's race for the White House.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sebastian, and it is a beautiful day today. We have so much to be grateful for, so just remember, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. I just love inspiring people to be the best they can be, and the reason I'm able to inspire so many people is because people like you who inspire me with your support of Shriners Hospitals for Children. Since I was little, I've broken 100 bones, and I've had 19 surgeries. Shriners Hospitals for Children was with me every step of the way. But more than that, they've given me the confidence to know I can do whatever I set my mind to. Like right now, I've set my mind to sharing my smile with you. Did you get it?
Because of people like you, I can play the violin.
I can play piano.
I can understand.
The help I get is only possible because of caring people like you who pick up the phone and call the number on your screen to make your monthly gift.
And when you call or go online right now to donate $19 a month or more, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of all the smiles you're bringing to kids' faces every day.
Kids like me.
And me.
And me.
And me. So what are you waiting for? You can inspire kids like me by visiting loveshriners.org. After all, you can't help everyone, but you can help someone. So let's go!
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving. Join me and bring a smile to the world with your monthly gift today.
Please call now. If operators are busy, please call again or go to loveshriners.org right away.
Join me and bring a smile to the world.
If you're one of the many people struggling financially right now, Bridget's got your back. They'll send you $50 to $250 instantly, with no credit check or interest.
Download the Bridget app today and get $50 to $250 instantly.
Will you pause it real quick? Just sold the car to Carvana.
What?
All I had to do was answer a couple of questions and got a real offer in seconds. Then they just picked up the car and paid me right on the spot.
Sell your car at Carvana.com today.
I'm Del Walters, and this is The Debrief.
Nearly 40 million Americans on alert.
Breaking down the headlines.
We're going to take a deeper dive.
Scripps News brings you reporting from across the country
In downtown Baltimore.
Live in Maricopa County.
and around the world.
The counteroffensive is likely to kick off.
Scripps News, London.
With up-to-the-minute information, giving you the whole story.
Let's get you caught up on some of today's top stories.
The Debrief, live tonight, starting at 6/5 Central, only on Scripps News.
23 minutes after the hour now, Americans racking up more credit card debt than ever before. Lydia Vasquez with Scripps News Tampa says rising food, electricity, and gas prices have all been factors.
Americans are charging their credit cards more than ever before.
We put everything that we can on a credit card.
But for the first time, a new report shows credit card debt has reached more than $1 trillion, the highest ever.
I am not comfortable saying this is no big deal. It's a really big deal.
Associate Professor of Economics Victor Clark says consumer confidence, rising interest rates, and inflation is to blame for booming credit card debt.
It's been hard. I mean, I have to stop using one credit card at one bank to use another one because I can't pay for the other one. So I had to stop using them at all together and just use cash.
Walter Barnes says he's had to cut up his credit card so he doesn't spend it every time he puts money back on it.
Avoid incurring the charges in the first place. There's no way to get in trouble paying your credit card bill if you don't have a credit card bill in the first place.
Clark suggests only using credit cards for emergencies, unless you have the money and you know how to budget.
I use mine a lot for monthly bills and for traveling and things, and it's just for convenience. It's easier just to use the credit card, and then when the bill comes in, just pay it off.
But not everyone is doing that. Late payments have also risen. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York reported in the second quarter, 7.2% of credit card accounts were 30 days overdue, the highest level in 11 years.
It takes more dollars to buy the same stuff. If you carry a balance, the interest rate is higher than it's been before. And when you carry any balance at all, then it costs you more to buy that good or service than it did otherwise.
Clark says Gen Zs are the ones racking up credit card debt faster than anyone else.
If you're in that position and you're struggling, the simplest thing to do is call your credit card company and see if you can work out a payment plan.
That was Lydia Vasquez reporting there from Florida for us. Well, from Tampa to Illinois, the butter cow sculpture is back at the Illinois State Fair. Check this out. Sarah Pratt's using 500 pounds of butter in a span of 5 days to create this creamy masterpiece. For nearly a century now, the butter cow has been an unofficial icon at the Illinois State Fair. It's going to remain on display until August 20th. The butter cow will also pose in front of a live webcam for those who can't make it to Illinois to see it in person. It is just so cool. And on that note, the gates officially open right now in Iowa. This popular attraction brings the Des Moines community together, but it also sparks the interest of presidential candidates. Congressional correspondent Stephanie Lieberman explains why the Iowa State Fair plays a key role in the campaign season.
From coast to coast, state and county fairs like this one in Howard County, Maryland, are full of animal competitions, carnival rides, and fried food. But for politicians wanting to live in the White House, there is just one fair that's a must-stop.
The Iowa State Fair has been a staple of Midwest summers for nearly 170 years. And for nearly 60 years, it's also been a staple of presidential campaigns.
First of all, if you want to catch a lot of Iowans at once, you want to do that at the Iowa State Fair.
Total attendance throughout the 11-day fair can be over 1 million. For candidates, it offers a chance to shake hands with the voters who will be first to cast their ballots in the primaries.
The Iowa caucuses and Iowa politics are kind of based on that one-on-one interaction, and you still get that at the Iowa State Fair.
Candidates can't hold their own campaign events at the fair, but they do get involved.
A longstanding tradition at the Iowa State Fair is the Des Moines Register soapbox, which literally is, some hay bales in front of one of our buildings that candidates can sign up for times to participate. I think it's kind of a rite of passage that you sign up for a shift to flip pork chops and grill pork chops at the Iowa Pork Tent. And of course, you stop and see the butter cow in the ag building.
With so many politicians in one place, it can be hard to break out from the pack. Sometimes extravagance makes headlines, like when then candidate Donald Trump offered helicopter rides to kids in 2015. Other times, it's a misstep at the fair that can hurt a campaign.
Corporations are people, my friend.
But as long as the Iowa caucuses stay near the top of the primary calendar, presidential candidates are likely to keep stopping by. Stephanie Lieberman, Scripps News.
You gotta love the State Fair. I'm Veronica Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. Remember, you can always check us out on scripsnews.com. Now, if you're staying with us, we have much more news headed your way right here. We'll be right back.
If you're living with diabetes, this is the sound that could change your life.
Great news for people living with diabetes. Now you can wear a continuous glucose monitor and eliminate routine finger sticks. The days of repeated, painful finger sticks are over.
Call 800-719-8907.
If you use insulin daily to manage your condition, a continuous glucose monitor could help you control your diabetes and reduce or eliminate those painful finger sticks. If you have Medicare or private insurance, US Med can deliver a CGM system right to your door. And if you qualify, there may be little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurer directly. Call now to get your continuous glucose monitoring system so you can take control of your diabetes and get back to enjoying life.
Call 800-719-8907. That's 800-719-8907.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
How does Klein & Spector get among the most big verdicts and settlements of any law firm in the country? Because Klein & Spector is an award-winning team with 5 doctor lawyers, the most of any firm in the United States. And that's why the New York Times calls Klein & Spector a powerhouse law firm. So if a defective product, motor vehicle accident, or medical malpractice caused a catastrophic injury, call Klein & Spector.
How can a photo become a vibrant part of your home? When you go to tryfracture.com and print your images directly on glass. Get beautiful depth and clarity on a sleek frameless print that's easy to hang and looks incredible in any space. Go to tryfracture.com now to save 20% on glass prints.
Hey there, welcome to Scripps News Live. Great to see you on this Thursday. I'm Veronica Cruz. Let's get you caught right now on the day's top stories. More than 1,000 acres of land charred in Maui, where rampant wildfires continue to devastate the area. At least 36 people have been killed. Others are still missing. Many survivors had to leave everything behind. Thousands of people remain in the dark right now. Several counties reporting widespread power outages. Well, the U.S. inflation rate rose for the first time in a year last month, but analysts say it's not as bad as it looks. While overall consumer prices were up 3.2% in July, food and energy were the biggest reasons. Everything else rose at the smallest monthly rate in 2 years. Experts say that proves the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes have been taming inflation. UPS and Teamsters reaching a tentative agreement. UPS delivery drivers will earn $170,000 a year in pay and benefits. Part-time workers will make at least $21 an hour, while full-time employees will earn about $49 an hour. UPS workers still have 12 days to decide whether to approve a tentative contract agreement. While students have enjoyed their summer, teachers and staff in one Missouri district were in the classroom learning something new this summer. They received mental health first aid training. Megan Abundis with Scripps News Kansas City has the details.
Before the students take their seats, the teachers, the educators.
This is a room full of protective factors.
Are the ones doing the learning.
They need to want to do this.
More than 200 Olathe educators volunteered for mental health first aid.
It is so hard to work with kids who are in pain and to know that that pain keeps them from being their absolute best.
They're trying to do everything they can for student success.
You're taught about what to do if you suspect somebody is in mental health crisis or has a mental health disorder. It talks about things that you can say, how to listen to them, and then how to connect them to help.
Angie Saliva, the director of mental health at Olathe School District, says think of a wheel.
A student in a mental health crisis, they just keep going, and they're not getting off, trying to fight their way through, but not necessarily making any progress.
She says society is finally starting to recognize the intense trauma some kids face.
Today, our students experience suicidal ideation. They experience trauma based off of homelessness or food insecurity. There are a lot of anxieties about their safety and being afraid of going to school or going out in public.
Our teachers are often the first responders.
A lot of times it can come up as anxiety, where a student might be anxious about an assignment or about attending a certain class. A student could also show pervasive symptoms of sadness, being really happy one moment to extremely sad or angry in another moment.
We have so many students that we have to reach on so many different levels throughout the day that this is something that needs to not be overlooked, and it needs to be forefront, because if you don't have a good state of mind, the rest of the school just kind of goes to the side.
We had over 500 referrals for mental health services.
Sometimes 3 a day.
It's not easy.
But they say the work is life-saving. Since 2019, there was a 40% decrease in the number of Olathe students who were flagged for being at risk for suicide. The school district says it's because of their commitment to preventative mental health care and the crisis interventions that staff practice.
It's hard in the moment, but you know it's all worth it in the end.
These conversations showing they're beyond the mental health stigma.
Our educators not only teach our students the academics, and they do that so well, but they are also that person who can provide emotional support should a student need it.
I'm Megan Abundis for Scripps News.
Emergency rooms have become ground zero in our country's mental health crisis. They're often the first place people go when they feel suicidal. Now, the goal is to transfer those patients to psychiatric hospitals. But as Ben Hall with Scripps News Nashville learned, sometimes those patients have to wait for days.
That's what happened to Helen Moore. She was told she was 35th on the waiting list for a state psychiatric hospital. So she waited. Seconds matter in the emergency room. Care is usually delivered in minutes or hours. But for many mental health patients, it can take days.
I don't want anybody else to suffer this way. It's awful.
Helen Moore was traumatized by what happened after she went to the emergency room with a mental health crisis.
I just wanted to help, and I just felt like I was being thrown away.
Her therapist sent her to Unity Medical Center in Manchester, where she was admitted for suicidal ideation in July of 2020.
I was feeling suicidal, and when they asked, how do you plan to do it? Well, I hadn't really thought about how I'm going to do it. I'm just feeling this way.
Doctors said she needed to go to a psychiatric hospital. They just had to find one that would take her.
Did they give you an idea of how long you would wait?
No. That information, they didn't know just whenever a bed came available.
Medical records show it took 4 full days. That entire time, she spent locked in a small room in the ER with no window or TV. Doctors said she couldn't leave because she might hurt herself.
This is a holding cell.
And it locked.
I referred to it as the torture room.
Because Helen was uninsured, nurses told her she would have to wait for a spot to open up at the nearest state-run psychiatric hospital, Moccasin Bend, where she was 35th on the waiting list.
I remember crying the whole time I was there. For an hour. What little bit I slept was the only time I didn't cry.
It is heartbreaking because you don't have a way to help these people.
Unity Hospital's medical director, emergency room doctor Nigel Fontenay, said Helen's wait was not unusual.
A week is actually not uncommon. I've had people down there for more than 2 weeks before.
The day we were there, a nurse sat in front of the same room where Helen was, watching a suicidal patient who had been there 7 days.
Emergency rooms become the dumping ground for those patients, and we are required by law to take care of anyone who comes into our emergency room.
Unity Hospital's CEO said the problem is worse for people with no insurance. They have to wait for an opening at a state hospital, like Moccasin Bend.
If you don't have insurance, that is the place that you pretty much have to go, because no private psychiatric facility generally accepts uninsured patients.
Helen Moore's medical chart shows that wait can be painful. On July 10th, 3 days after arriving, she asked, "Why have I not been offered a shower or toothbrush?" A nurse wrote, patient informed she needed to ask for her needs, that the nursing staff are not mind readers.
If I were a regular patient, if I were in there with a stroke or a heart attack or a broken leg, they'd have brought me towels and wash rags to wash up.
I am concerned that clients will stop asking for help.
Licensed counselor Suzanne Blackwood says the last thing suicidal patients need is the chaotic atmosphere of an emergency room.
Sadly, a lot of patients come out quite harmed as a result.
What happened to Helen is called emergency department boarding. The problem is so serious, the state has a website and even hired this doctor to reduce the time that psychiatric patients spend in emergency departments. But data provided by the state shows wait times are increasing. In 2020, patients averaged nearly 24 hours waiting to get into a state psychiatric hospital. This year, the average is more than 39 hours. That's close to 2 days.
When you're in a mental health crisis, you need help then. The same as having a heart attack or a stroke.
4 days after she arrived, Helen was finally transferred to Moccasin Bend, but she was not admitted. The doctor determined she was no longer suicidal.
You see a lot of repetition of patients.
Dr. Fontenot says when patients are just sent home with no help, they often end up back in the emergency room.
This is an area that is extremely lacking in attention in this country, and people are suffering.
It's just a mess, and it's got to change.
Helen can't believe she waited 4 days in an emergency room. That's why she's sharing her very personal story.
As outlandish and wild as it sounds, I'm not the only person this has happened to.
State officials declined an on-camera interview, but say Tennessee is investing in crisis stabilization units and walk-in centers. They're designed to keep people in mental health crisis out of emergency rooms. But the bottom line for many is we need more fully staffed mental health beds, especially at state-run psychiatric hospitals.
Coming up next on Scripps News Live, we'll explain how high gas prices are driving down business profits across the U.S. Plus, some car repairs putting a dent in people's wallets. We'll have the details on what's fueling the spike and when drivers can expect some relief. We'll be right back.
I've been putting off getting life insurance, and I'm not getting any younger.
Have you been thinking about getting a life insurance plan but just keep putting it off? Was that a yes? Then this message is for you. I'm David Denowitz, and I know the importance of life insurance. And that's why I'm here to tell you it's not too late to get the coverage you need.
If you're between the ages of 45 and 85, you can get a policy with a benefit of up to $25,000 and rates available at $5 a week. The phone lines are now open. Just call 800-354-6059.
And your acceptance is guaranteed.
I have a pre-existing medical condition. Is my acceptance guaranteed?
Yes.
Can I get accepted without a medical exam?
Yes. If you're between 45 and 85, you can't be turned down for this guaranteed acceptance life insurance regardless of your health. Plus, there's no medical exam and no health questions. And rates start at just $5 a week. Remember, if you're between 45 and 85, you can't be turned down regardless of your health. Nothing's more important than family. So call now, pick up the phone, and get guaranteed acceptance life insurance today.
Just call 800-354-6059.
I'm 72 and on a fixed income. Is my acceptance guaranteed?
Yes, your acceptance is guaranteed, and your rate can never go up for any reason. You can't be turned down regardless of your health. There's just one simple question. Are you between 45 and 85? If you answered yes, don't wait another minute. Call now.
The call is absolutely free, and there is no obligation to enroll. Just call 800-354-6059. That's 800-354-6059.
No one really talks about female hair thinning, and that can make it hard for women to bring up. That's where Hers comes in. They can connect you with a medical provider to help you find a personalized solution for your unique hair type, 100% online. Take the hair quiz today at forhers.com.
Hey.
Hey, I'm inside the bank. Where's the $500?
What?
I don't have much time. Where's the $500?
I said drop your bank, not rob your bank.
What?
I said drop your bank and get Dave. The banking app?
Yeah, I thought this was a lot of work for $500.
You think?
I mean, I would love it if you could come get me.
Oh, no. Oh, she going to jail.
Hello?
There's an easier way you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave.
South Braddock Avenue and Forbes Avenue. This whole bridge collapsed.
How did we get to a point where so many bridges are in so much need?
Scripps News investigates decaying bridges in America tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
Welcome back. U.S. oil production has reached an all-time high. Federal estimates project U.S. oil output to reach 12.8 million barrels a day for the first time ever. That's 500,000 barrels a day more than the previous record. Experts say this doesn't mean we'll see any relief at the pump. They forecast an average of $3.63 a gallon through the end of the year. And U.S. drivers may see lower gas prices when the summer travel period ends and those temperatures drop. But if you drive to make a living, you probably need that relief sooner. A woman who uses her truck for work explained to Caroline Hogan with Scripps News Kansas City how fuel costs have been cutting into her earnings and what she's doing right now to make up for it.
Rain or shine, Sarah Rollins is out on the road, driving from job to job.
Commercial cleaning, make-readies for move-ins for apartments, drywall, a little bit of everything maintenance related. We do groundskeeping too.
Burning rubber and a lot of gas in her Ford F-150. it's burning a hole in her pocket.
If I'm low on gas at all and I see a really cheap price, I'll stop and get it.
She assumed buying a truck would save her money.
And because of the junk haul-away or like large paint jobs, drywall, I was renting a trailer all the time.
That money saved is going straight to the gas pump.
I'm making more than I was at my 8 to 5, but I feel like I'm not even doing as well because I'm fighting inflation on gas and supplies and stuff all the time.
Sarah spends about $160 on gas a week, with her filling up twice, and that's money she wishes she could spend elsewhere.
Oh, my kids, medical bills. You know.
As a mom of 2, she's resorted to taking on extra jobs to make up the difference.
I'll DoorDash and Postmates on the side. I'm doing consulting work on my computer at home too, where I do compliance files for apartments and things like that. I've started bringing a cooler, making sandwiches and bringing bottles of water and things like that with me. And that's saving me like $75 a week. So that's a whole tank.
The reality is, there's not much Sarah can do. The truck is essential to her job.
My business would take a hit if I didn't have the truck.
So for now, she'll keep taking any job she can, no matter how far, hoping this gas price roller coaster comes down.
Every time I fill up, I immediately check my bank account, like, okay, where am I at?
Reporting in Kansas City, Caroline Hogan.
And rising gas prices aren't the only bump on the road that drivers are facing. The cost of car repairs has been climbing as well, and it's leaving several people in a tight spot. Scripps News correspondent Thomas Hoppa has the details.
After a long battle with historic inflation, Americans are used to feeling the strain on their wallets at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and now at the mechanic.
That's the way of life. You know, you gotta drive, so you gotta get a car.
According to federal consumer price data, car repair costs are up nearly 20% over the last year. That's more than 6 times the national inflation rate and among the biggest price jumps of any household good or service. So what's fueling the price hike pains? More advanced and more expensive technology in vehicles nowadays is a driving factor. According to AAA, common car repairs can cost drivers up to $600 a visit. Fixing features like auto emergency braking, backup cameras, and lane keeping technology are a big part of that eye-popping bill. But even standard car repairs have skyrocketed in price thanks to ongoing supply chain issues. Certain vehicle parts like microchips are still hard to come by, which means you'll be waiting longer for a repair and forking over more money when it's finally finished.
Costs have also gone up to operate the business, and then we also see a lot of vendors adding in fees for delivery now to help them cover some of their costs. So we're getting fees we've never gotten before.
Another big detail at play, longer car ownership. The average age of passenger cars and trucks in operation was about 12 years in 2022, an all-time high. Experts say that's due to sky-high sticker prices of new vehicles these days. But older cars are more likely to need more repairs, and big ones at that. Kelley Blue Book tallied up the average prices for common car repair services. An alternator replacement will run you as much as $842. Brake pad and rotor replacement is around $600, and among the most expensive, more than $1,200 for a fuel pump replacement. Throw in the growing labor shortage among automotive technicians driving up labor costs, and you're looking at a painful trip to the repair shop. But the good news for drivers, experts say part shortages and car availability could ease soon, providing some much needed relief. Thomas Hoppo, Scripps News, Denver.
Well, people are paying big prices to live in the Big Apple. A new report out from brokerage firm Douglas Elliman shows the median apartment rent in New York City hit an all-time high in July for the 3rd time in the past 4 months. The median monthly rent for a one-bedroom was $4,400 in July, and that is a $100 increase from June. And you'll find a little relief in other boroughs, but not much. Rent prices in Brooklyn and Queens also reaching new heights last month, averaging more than $3,500 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. From the cost of housing to the cost of OJ, orange juice getting more expensive. Government officials say the price isn't going down anytime soon. We can partly blame the weather for this hike. Florida provides most of our orange juice supply, but hurricanes and a late freeze wiped out a big portion of the current orange crop. In addition, orange trees are dying from a disease called citrus greening. The USDA predicts production will drop 51% from last year. Straight ahead on Scripps News Live.
Of growing up with hip hop
and then to walk into your museum, it all comes flooding back, and it's just so much fun.
Can't wait for this. We're going to take you to a business in Milwaukee celebrating the 50th year of hip hop music. That's next.
Attention all seniors. You can now get up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, including your credit card debt, with no medical exam, starting at less than $1 a day.
Oh, honey, your dad and I can't stop talking about this baby that's coming.
We've also been thinking a lot about our future, and no matter what, we want to make sure we aren't leaving you and your family with any of our debts.
Just last week, we read that the price of a funeral can be $8,000 or more.
Wow, Jeff and I definitely would not have the money to pay for that.
And that's just a funeral. But you don't have to worry. We called, and with one phone call, we were eligible for $50,000 for our funeral and final expenses.
Well, that's great, but don't you need to take a medical exam to qualify? You and Mom have some health issues.
No, there's no medical exam, and we were able to get coverage right over the phone.
And our rates can never be increased, our benefits can never be decreased, and our coverage can never be canceled.
I'm so glad you made that call.
Don't leave loved ones with your debt. Call 800-293-5789 now and see if you qualify for up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, starting at less than $1 a day. There's no medical exam, and you can be approved even if you have pre-existing health conditions. Your rates can never be increased, your benefits can never be decreased, and your coverage can never be canceled. There's no obligation. Call 800-293-5789 now. There's no paperwork, no hidden fees, and no waiting periods. And you can start coverage right over the phone, starting at less than $1 a day. Call 800-293-5789. That's 800-293-5789. 800-293-5789.
Meet Pair Eyewear, the only glasses brand that lets you change your glasses like you change your clothes. Simply snap on a top frame and you're ready to go. Now you can customize a look for every outfit, every occasion, and every day. With hundreds of designs to choose from, Pair makes it easy to match your style and build a collection you'll love. You can even snap on a sun top to instantly turn your pair into sunglasses. Start building your collection today at paireyewear.com.
If you're one of the many people struggling financially right now, Bridget's got your back. They'll send you $50 to $250 instantly, with no credit check or interest.
Download the Bridget app today and get $50 to $250 instantly.
Once upon a time, why drag?
I think they have every right to do what they want to do.
But they don't have every right.
We don't want your straight child to turn gay. We want your gay child to survive.
So this is the year of Taylor Swift, the superstar announcing another remake of one of her popular albums, 1989. She made the announcement during one of her final U.S. concerts in her record-breaking Eras tour. Swift posted on social media that this is her favorite re-record yet, and it's going to be released on October 27th. Mark your calendar. The initial album released in 2014. The upcoming Taylor's version will feature 16 reworked songs and 5 new songs from the vault. All right, so hip hop, it's more than a music genre. The cultural movement gained widespread popularity in the 80s and 90s. DJ Kool Herc mixed at his baby sister's back-to-school party in the Bronx, and the rest is history. So tomorrow is considered the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and to celebrate, Andrea Williams visited a hip hop museum in Milwaukee. Take a look.
Hip hop turns 50 years old this year, and it's a genre that has influenced people across the globe. We are here at the Milwaukee Hip Hop Museum, and we are ready to get this party started right.
Classic.
When did you first fall in love with hip hop?
When they were playing like Public Enemy, KRS-One, Stop the Violence Movement, Dougie Fresh,
About 1986.
Antonia Anderson is the founder and curator of the Milwaukee Hip Hop Museum.
I started the Milwaukee Hip Hop Museum in 2019 during COVID when I was actually working at home.
She works for Milwaukee Public Schools and believes that hip hop can help children with critical thinking and being more productive in the community. Her home is filled with everything from turntables to images of individuals who serve as pioneers like Africa Bambaataa and DJ Kool Herc.
This is actually it's like a magazine photo of when he first started and had the party for his sister Brenda, which became like one of the most famous parties, and
hip-hop was born.
Right, hip-hop was born.
That day in the Bronx helped kickstart the massive cultural force that has since become a lifestyle for millions across the globe, from music to dancing to fashion.
If it wasn't for Dapper Dan and Gucci and all of the creative things that he did, he really put a different twist on fashion.
But it's no secret, hip-hop is really about attitude. Being creative, whether it's Run DMC rapping about their Adidas with no laces, or the strong lyrics in the Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight.
Over here, I have my vinyl album collections. And I know that in the 2024, they're going to be having breakdancing in the Olympics.
Yeah. Graffiti and breakdancing were the aspects of the culture that first caught the public's attention.
The memories of growing up with hip-hop and then to walk into your museum, it all comes flooding back, and it's just so much fun.
We got some Salt and Pepper, Whitney Houston, TLC, Aaliyah.
Just a little bit of everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah.
That's everyone.
Look at this.
For me, being in the Hip Hop Museum was equivalent to a kid in a candy store. Whether it's action figures, cassette tapes, magazines, or clothing, she's got it all. And we're reminded that hip hop has generated huge sales of everything from electronics, automobiles, and even television.
Back in the day, the cameras that we used,
yes,
the Walkmans,
the concerts, the
right,
Polaroids,
right, the Polaroids.
Antonia plans to continue traveling around the city and the country, sharing her knowledge of hip hop and the global impact it has had. She also plans to continue growing her collection that will spread the knowledge for generations to come.
And that was Andrea Williams reporting there for us in Milwaukee. Okay, stargazers, listen up because this weekend is going to be a sight for your eyes. The Perseid meteor shower peaking on August 12th and 13th. Officials from Michigan State University are saying that dozens of meteors are going to zoom across the sky per hour. The Northern Hemisphere will have the best viewing, and if you want to see them, find an area with little to no light pollution. Hot tip for you. I'm Veronica Cruz. Thank you so much for watching Scripps News Live. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. Don't forget, you can always check us out on scrippsnews.com. And if you are staying with us, we have much more news headed your way on Scripps News Live. We'll be right back.
There's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. And checking your credit score or bank statements may not be enough to alert you. That's because identity threats appear in more places than you realize. Identity thieves can use your information to open loans, transfer home titles, even commit crimes.
Someone stole my information and tried to buy a car in my name.
LifeLock monitors for threats to your identity, including ones you may miss, and alerts you if there's an issue. And if you're a victim, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it.
If something happens, you have somebody fighting for you.
All plans backed by LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
I know LifeLock has me covered.
LifeLock, identity theft protection starts here. Call the number on your screen or visit lifelock.com/25now and use promo code 25now to save 25% on your first year of identity theft protection. Enroll now.
At first, just leaving the house was hard.
But Wounded Warrior Project helps you realize it's possible to get out there.
To feel a sense of camaraderie again.
To find the tools to live life better.
Through generous community support, we've connected warriors and their families with no-cost physical and mental health services, legislative advocacy, career assistance, and life skill training for 20 years. And we're just getting started.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
Carvana has hundreds of thousands of five-star reviews and counting.
The whole process was really simple and easy, and this is my third time selling to Carvana.
You just enter your license plate or your VIN, answer a few questions, boom, you get a real offer.
Sell your car to Carvana today.
It was wild. It was watching the entire town burn from the ocean. All structures along the shoreline were fully engulfed. Watching fuel tanks and other things that were blowing up. When you have 70 and 80 mile an hour winds pushing that fire, you can't stop it. There's not enough water out there in any amount of fire trucks, and once it gets to a certain size, there's just no way you can control it.
Developing now, at least 36 people are dead, several others still missing as wildfires continue to sweep through Maui. Officials warn the death toll could climb. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Veronica Cruz. Welcome to Scripps News Live. We're going to get to that story, but first, President Biden on the road today, marking the one-year anniversary of his signing of a significant bipartisan bill into law. It was called the PACT Act, and it created the largest expansion of veteran benefits in more than 30 years. This is a live picture right now. PACT does stand for Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxics, which has been so important to many veterans. And it's also deeply personal to President Biden, who lost his son Beau to brain cancer after he served in Iraq. White House correspondent Haley Bull is in Washington right now. She has the latest on the president's agenda today. So, Haley, I understand the president is headed to Utah and he's going to be speaking at a VA hospital. What exactly can we expect?
Veronica, he is visiting a VA medical center in Salt Lake City to give remarks on the one-year anniversary since signing the PACT Act alongside veterans and their family members. And as you mentioned, it is very personal for the president, and beyond that, has become a core part of his agenda. The White House calls this the most significant expansion of benefits in decades for veterans for toxic exposure. And when you talk about toxic exposure, you're looking at things like burn pits in Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, the administration says in the years since its signing, there have been more than 843,000 PACT Act specific claim applications. More than 458,000 of them have been processed at this point. When you're looking at funding, more than $1.85 billion in PACT Act related benefits have been delivered. Now, the law required an expansion of the VA workforce to work through this. One veterans group we spoke with, Burn Pits 360, notes the immense progress in this, but also that there's more work to do, calling this a bittersweet day remembering those who passed away from toxic exposure. They specifically note a need for non-invasive technology, continued awareness, and more access to services when you're looking in regions like rural areas. Listen.
For the veteran, even though PACT Act has passed and receiving treatment compensation, but still the war is not over for us, for many of us. And that's where now for the implementation of the PACT Act this year, and for looking forward, what needs to be in place, like there's a need for non-invasive technologies.
Now, the agency has extended the deadline to submit PACT Act related claims that would be backdated to last year to Monday after some technical online issues. Now, Biden is expected to give remarks shortly here where he will tout that bipartisan legislation alongside Utah's Republican governor. And Veronica, this wraps up a 3-state tour of the Southwest Biden has been on this week to note some of his landmark legislative items, including the PACT Act, and also sell Americans on his economic agenda. Veronica?
All right, Haley Bull reporting live from Washington for us. Haley, thank you so much. So search and rescue operations are underway right now as the crisis continues on Hawaii's Maui Island. Take a look at some of this video. A helicopter pilot for a tour company flying over Maui saying, quote, "It looked like a bomb went off." The popular tourist destination of Lahaina reduced to ashes. President Biden is pledging all available federal assets to help those on the island right now. We have team coverage for you on the crisis in Hawaii. Meteorologist Scott Withers is in Maui and has the latest developments on the wildfires. Lindsay Thies is in Oakland, California, speaking to travelers returning from the island. And Isabella Martin with Scripps News Las Vegas has been speaking with concerned Hawaiian natives watching their hometown burn from afar. We begin right here with meteorologist Scott Withers. He's live for us at that airport in Maui. Scotty, bring us up to speed. What is happening with evacuations right now?
Yeah, Veronica, a lot going on here at the airport. It got busy real fast. Let me step out of the way. You can see long lines here. Multiple airlines now up and operational. Yesterday, large number of flights canceled off the island, and that really caused a ripple effect. These people in line, most of them, the good news is, do have certified tickets. They are going to get on a plane and get out of here. But there are people in line still hoping that when they get to the front, they can get some ticket to get off. Not everybody is having that luck. Some people are being told that it could be days before there's enough seats on planes to get them out of here. And all of this is happening because those wildfires, they're still raging just a few miles away from here.
Wildfire smoke is shrouding Maui neighborhoods. From the sky, the damage appears widespread. From the ground, apocalyptic. Historic Front Street, the major tourist destination, going up in flames. Homes and buildings destroyed. The street makes up 80% of the island's tourism. Jeff Melikar shot this video of his neighborhood as he evacuated. His small town in flames, his home destroyed. The fires ripping through several communities, thousands evacuating.
People are basically running for their lives.
Our house is gone. Everything that we had ever known was gone.
Everyone I know in Lahaina, their homes have been burned down.
Roads across the island closing.
We have had 13 evacuations from different neighborhoods and towns.
Tourists caught in the firestorm, leaving behind their belongings, fleeing hotels and rental houses, taking shelter at the airport.
We started evacuating them this morning using the backside of the island, which is a very narrow and precarious drive, but we are getting them out and getting them to the airport to hopefully get them off island.
The state encouraging tourists not to visit, some airlines canceling flights. Residents are being encouraged to conserve water.
No power is out, they're having problems with water.
All of the island's firefighters battling the blaze, more coming in from other islands. The winds driven by Hurricane Dora should die down throughout Thursday, giving firefighters a chance to save their island.
Those winds really dying down last night and really dying down today. The other good news, rain. We've had consistent rain throughout the morning. That rain is helping to put out some of the hot spots around the island and helping the firefighters get in there and knock down these big fires. You can see it. It's been pretty hard rain there. We've got another large rainstorm moving in right now. All right, take a look at the satellite. Dora, this is one of the reasons that we had this wildfire. Hurricane Dora there, you can see her moving away from the islands, also losing intensity. That is great news because when she was closer to the island, she was kicking up winds that came up towards the islands. There was a high pressure system above it, and between those two, the wind just got siphoned directly over the islands at 70, 80 miles per hour. That was driving the winds out here. Veronica, the good news, those winds coming down, the rain coming down, the firefighters got to get in there today, make a big effort to knock down these fires.
Absolutely.
Veronica?
We're keeping our fingers crossed, Scotty, and our hearts absolutely go out to those who have been affected. But I wanted to ask you, because folks there were gearing up and bracing for a hurricane and instead ended up with these wildfires. Do we know why these fires started?
Yeah, it was kind of a combination of things. First, those winds driven by Hurricane Dora, even though she stayed 700 miles away. So that was the first thing. The second thing, very low humidity here. There was no water vapor in the air, nothing to kind of combat the fires. And finally, they've been dealing with an extreme drought on the island of Maui for months. And unfortunately, most of that drought was exactly where these wildfires kicked up. So that's why you put those three together and boom, you had a recipe for catastrophe. And that's what happened out here.
All right, meteorologist Scott Withers live for us there in Maui. Scotty, thank you so much. So several major airlines have been pitching in to evacuate travelers who are stuck in Maui. So far, they've flown more than 11,000 people off the island. Science and health correspondent Lindsay Thies spoke with travelers touching down in California who say that they are exhausted.
We've spoken with about half a dozen people just in the past hour or so who have landed from Maui, and they say they're exhausted, they're relieved, and they're happy to be home safe. The hum of baggage claim, now a song of safety for Guy Calavacanti and Aspen Plummer. The couple had just arrived in Maui the day before for their honeymoon.
When we woke up this morning, it was probably about 3:30. We got the pre-evacuation warning to get all of our stuff ready, and about 30 minutes later, the evacuation warning went out. We were about an hour, less than an hour north, 30 minutes north of where the fire was, and we could see the blaze.
The newlyweds are among the 11,000 Maui travelers officials evacuated as multiple wildfires destroy parts of the Hawaiian island.
I felt fortunate to get on this flight. It cost a lot more money than I wanted to spend, but I'm very grateful to be here.
We really appreciate what the airlines have done. When we look at the Trans-Pacific flights, Alaska, Delta, United, and American have increased capacity by bringing in larger planes to ensure we get more seats to get more people off the island.
Among airlines working with local and state authorities, Southwest and Hawaiian Airlines have together added more than a dozen flights. United tells Scripps News they've canceled inbound flights to the Kahului Airport in Maui so that their planes can then fly empty to Maui and be used as passenger flights back to the mainland. Those lucky enough to leave are gracious but somber. Many worry about those left on Maui.
Evacuees everywhere. Parking lots full of people who were camping overnight, long cars queued up on the side of the road, people walking up the slopes of the volcano on that side of the island to try to find cell signal.
It felt very surreal driving away from our hotel with all of our belongings and seeing the orange and of the flames at like 3 in the morning. That felt really apocalyptic.
As for the newlyweds, they plan to take another big trip soon, but haven't decided yet if they'll return to Maui.
It's definitely a bummer that the trip was cut short, but at the end of the day, some folks lost their lives over there, so I think we're just glad to be back here.
Meanwhile, Hawaiian authorities are urging travelers, if you do not have to come and visit the Hawaiian Islands, please postpone your trip. Lindsay Thies, Scripps News, Oakland, California.
All right, Lindsay, thank you for that. One of the hardest hit areas, Lahaina. The popular tourist area in West Maui has a rich history and was the former capital. Devastating images show the decades-old buildings that line the streets now flattened and charred. Many people are worried about all the damage that the fires will leave behind.
It's not the kind of place that can just be rebuilt and don't worry, the future will be fine. I mean, there's so much historic significance. A lot of these buildings were right next to the ocean, so if in today's environment, you won't be able to build some of those back. And it's way too early to determine the outcome. But Lahaina is a very charming, meaningful place for people in Hawaii, both residents and visitors.
People who grew up in Lahaina are emotional as they watch their hometown burn. Isabella Martin with Scripps News Las Vegas talks to one woman desperate to hear that her loved ones are safe.
For Kapika Nueska, Lahaina, Hawaii is home.
I've been here since 2020, the summer. I moved here with my other half because we wanted a new life, and we chose Vegas.
As a mom of 4 children, including her 2-month-old baby, so many miles from home, she fears for the safety of her family.
Shocking, sad, nervous, worried. Every emotion that you can feel because I'm all the way out here. I can't do anything.
She found out about the fire through Facebook, but says she didn't think much about it.
I didn't think it was as big because usually we have fires there, but never got out of control like this.
But she immediately called her mom in Lahaina and got no response. She also learned through social media that cell service was down on the island.
I can't get a hold of anybody that's in the town because as of right now, gas is low on the cars because there's some of the gas station blew up and then there's cars that's burnt.
Now her number one priority is making sure she knows her family is safe and what's going on in her hometown.
Anything. I even thought to fly back to see what I can do, but we're not even allowed into the town. they closed the road. No one can get in.
Kapika tells me as of right now, she has heard her mom is safe and staying with one of her cousins in Lahaina.
That was Isabella Martin reporting there for us from Las Vegas. Coverage of the Hawaii wildfires will continue throughout the day right here on Scripps News. And you can also find stories from our coverage online. Feel free to check us out at scripsnews.com. Also on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, a new report out reveals who's been bankrolling Justice Clarence Thomas's lavish lifestyle. Also, officials making 2 more arrests in the viral Alabama dockside brawl. We'll have the details for you straight ahead.
I was having problems with my legs and my feet.
I suffered a lot of cramps, swelling.
I would dread going up and down steps.
Tingling in my legs due to circulation issues.
The aches and pains have just continued to increase.
Did you know if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or are over 40, your leg aches and pains could be from poor circulation? Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps. Revitive uses breakthrough technology to get your calf muscles pumping like a second heart to increase blood flow, reducing leg aches and pains, cramps, or swollen feet and ankles.
Plus, it's drug-free.
The cramping was terrible, and I don't get that anymore. Thank you, Revitive.
Revitive is FDA cleared and clinically proven to increase oxygen-rich blood flow during use. The smart stimulation works so well, over 3 million people use Revitive.
As a firefighter, I'm constantly on my feet. I wish I had known about Revitive a lot earlier. It would have made a huge difference in really who I am today.
Revitive has given me a better quality of life because I am living without pain.
Revitive reduces leg pains 2 times more than exercise alone in just 6 weeks.
We want to take walks. We want to do more social activities, just the typical things in life that I did not feel well enough before Revitive that I was able to do.
Yeah, Revitive is regenerizing my legs and making me feel like, let's do more.
Go to Revitive.com now to learn how Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps.
The doctor said, go for it. And I'm in the best shape in terms of my legs and my ankles and my feet than I've ever been.
Try Revitive. You will see the difference. It works. It worked for me.
Get the most out of life with Revitive. Visit Revitive.com. That's REVITIVE.com. Or call
1-800-317-6641. That's 1-800-317-6641 today. Or visit Revitive.com. Order now.
How does Klein & Spector get among the most big verdicts and settlements of any law firm in the country? Because Klein & Spector is an award-winning team with 5 doctor lawyers, the most of any firm in the United States. And that's why the New York Times calls Klein & Spector a powerhouse law firm. So if a defective product, motor vehicle accident, or medical malpractice caused a catastrophic injury, call Klein & Spector.
Quick reminder, we'd like to hear from you. Give us a call on our Scripps News viewer hotline. That number is toll free and it's on your screen right now. It's 1-833-4-SCRIPPS. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas. So the FBI has thwarted a plot to attack President Biden while he's in Utah. The man who made the threat was killed while authorities were serving him with a warrant. National correspondent Maura Sirianni says it wasn't the first time that the FBI spoke with a man.
So the person who was allegedly making these threats, there was talk of a presidential assassination. And the good news is this morning, the president, he's waking up safely at a hotel in downtown Salt Lake City. But this was really scary stuff. The building, of course, surrounded by police and barriers, as you can imagine, following that plot that was foiled by the FBI. So early Wednesday morning, agents went to the home of that 75-year-old suspect. He's been identified as Craig Robertson. They went to arrest him, but instead he was shot. Robertson lived about 45 minutes south of the Salt Lake VA Health Center, where President Biden is expected to speak today and highlight the first anniversary of the PACT Act. The FBI is not yet saying why Robertson was shot. However, several reports indicate he was armed at the time. This led to some type of altercation, resulting in a shootout. Now, leading up to the president's Utah visit, prosecutors say Robertson made several threatening posts on social media. You see them here. That includes a post he made Monday stating he heard President Biden was coming to Utah and that he was planning to wear a camo suit and begin to, quote, clean the dust off the M24 sniper rifle. Another post showed Robertson with guns and the caption, getting ready for the 2024 election cycle. Now, Robertson has been on the radar of the FBI since March for about 5 months now after posting about going to New York to, quote, fulfill his dream of killing Alvin Bragg. Authorities say that post was made on Trump's platform, Truth Social. He also allegedly made threats against, as I mentioned, Alvin Bragg and then some other officials, too. We're talking New York Attorney General Letitia James and Attorney General Merrick Garland, of course, overseeing criminal and or civil investigations involving the former president. Robertson also allegedly made threats against FBI agents, and this comes as Trump and some of his allies continue to villainize the FBI and the DOJ, for that matter. The FBI's director, Christopher Wray, has warned of escalating threats just like these. A July survey by the Chicago Projection of Security and Threats finding that a growing number of Americans shockingly believe the use of force is justified to coerce government officials. Meantime, the shooting is under review by the FBI. Mara Sirianni, Scripps News.
Officials in Montgomery, Alabama, continuing their investigation into the dockside brawl that went viral and gained national attention. Now, as of yesterday evening, the 2 remaining suspects surrendered to police. 3 white men are now being charged with third-degree assault. There are also reports of one witness using a racial slur during the altercation. The fight happened last weekend, and it started when the owners of a private boat ignored warnings from a ferry co-captain asking them to move their boat. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, more Americans dealing with the stress of credit card debt. We're going to break down some of the contributing factors leading to the record amount of debt. That's next.
Welcome to the place where people go to learn about their Medicare options before they're on Medicare.
Come on in. You're turning 65 soon?
Yeah.
And you're retiring at 67?
That's the plan.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Now's the time to plan ahead. Learn about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan from United Healthcare and how a plan like this helps you take charge of your healthcare with lower out-of-pocket costs. Here's why. Medicare alone doesn't pay for everything. Your deductibles and copays could add up to hundreds, even thousands of dollars a year.
Everyone's a little surprised to learn that one.
Adding a Medicare supplement plan helps pay some of what Medicare doesn't. And that could mean fewer surprises and more predictable out-of-pocket costs. Call United Healthcare and ask for your free decision guide. Or talk with a licensed insurance agent or producer to learn more about plan benefits, options, and rates. Medicare supplement plans let you choose any doctor, any specialist, anywhere in the U.S. who accepts Medicare patients. You don't have to deal with any networks or referrals. This kind of plan also goes with you anywhere you travel in the country. If you're turning 65 soon or over 65 and planning to retire, find out more about the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
Thumbs up to that.
Remember, the time to prepare is before you go on Medicare.
Don't wait. Get started today.
Take charge of your health care. Call United Healthcare for your free decision guide and learn more about lowering your out-of-pocket Medicare costs and seeing any doctor who accepts Medicare patients.
Oh, and happy birthday or retirement in advance.
What should we do?
I'm going to cashnetusa.com. I can apply in minutes, and if approved, we can have the money as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
South Braddock Avenue and Forbes Avenue. A lot of screaming and static on the phone. This whole bridge collapsed.
We've been neglecting our infrastructure since we built it.
When you just sort of touch the bottom of this bridge, it just comes apart.
Funding is a major issue. Infrastructure throughout America needs to be improved.
How did we get to a point as a country where so many bridges are in so much need?
Scripps News investigates decaying bridges in America tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
Welcome back. Wall Street seeming to be recouping yesterday's losses as we take a look at the boards right now. One reason might be inflation data. All three indices right now in the green. The Dow Jones is up 62 points. The S&P is up 2. The NASDAQ is up about 10 points. We're going to keep an eye on it for you. So the U.S. inflation rate rose for the first time in a year last month, but analysts are saying that we need to look deeper. Overall consumer prices up 3.2% in July, but experts are saying if you don't include food and energy, everything else rose at its smallest monthly rate in 2 years. Nevertheless, the latest inflation report adds stress to the millions of Americans already worried about their next grocery bill. Reporter Lydia Vasquez has the details.
Americans are charging their credit cards more than ever before.
We put everything that we can on a credit card.
But for the first time, a new report shows credit card debt has reached more than $1 trillion, the highest ever.
I am not comfortable saying this is no big deal. It's a really big deal.
Associate Professor of Economics Victor Clark says consumer confidence, rising interest rates, and inflation is to blame for booming credit card debt.
It's been hard. I mean, I have to stop using one credit card at one bank to use another one because I can't pay for the other one. So I had to stop using them at all together and just use cash.
Walter Barnes says he's had to cut up his credit card so he doesn't spend it every time he puts money back on it.
Avoid incurring the charges in the first place. There's no way to get in trouble paying your credit card bill if you don't have a credit card bill in the first place.
Clark suggests only using credit cards for emergencies, unless you have the money and you know how to budget.
I use mine a lot for monthly bills and for traveling and things, and it's just for convenience. It's easier just to use the credit card, and then when the bill comes in, just pay it off.
But not everyone is doing that. Late payments have also risen. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York reported in the second quarter, 7.2% of credit card accounts were 30 days overdue, the highest level in 11 years.
It takes more dollars to buy the same stuff. If you carry a balance, the interest rate is higher than it's been before. And when you carry any balance at all, then it costs you more to buy that good or service than it did otherwise.
Clark says Gen Zs are the ones racking up credit card debt faster than anyone else.
If you're in that position and you're struggling, the simplest thing to do is call your credit card company and see if you can work out a payment plan.
And that was Scripps News reporter Lydia Vasquez there in Tampa, Florida for us. I'm Veronica Cruz. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. And don't forget, you can always check us out on ScrippsNews.com. Now, if you are staying with us, we have much more news headed your way right here on Scripps News Live. It's been 1 year since President Biden signed the PACT Act, and some veterans are saying they are grateful to finally be receiving the medical care that they need.
So many of my symptoms were ignored because they said, you're too young to have this.
Hear from one vet who says he finally feels his concerns are no longer being ignored. We'll be right back.
Wounded Warrior Project has been with me every step of my journey.
Aaron, how you doing, bud? With experiences that help me realize that I'm not alone.
And specialized programs that give me the tools to train my body and mind.
Now, it's possible for me to get back out there.
To get out of my comfort zone and try new things.
To build and be part of a community that supports other warriors.
It's possible to get the help I need for me and my family.
I got my confidence back. I'm setting goals and I'm achieving them.
It's possible to feel understood, whether it's day one or 20 years down the road, they've got your back.
And as each warrior's needs evolve, Wounded Warrior Project is adapting to meet them.
Because when we pull together,
it's possible to go further than you ever imagined.
Hey.
Hey, I'm
inside the bank. Where's the $500?
What?
I don't have much time. Where's the $500?
I said drop your bank, not rob your bank.
What?
I said drop your bank and get Dave, the banking app.
Yeah, I thought this was a lot of work for $500.
You think?
I mean, I would love it if you could come get me.
Oh, no. Oh, she going to jail.
Hello?
There's an easier way you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave.
We're Carvana, the company who invented car vending machines and buying a car 100% online. Now we've created a brand new way for you to sell your car. Whether it's a year old or a few years old, we want to buy your car. So go to Carvana, enter your license plate, answer a few questions, and our techno wizardry calculates your car's value and gives you a real offer in seconds. When you're ready, we'll come to you, pay you on the spot, and pick up your car. That's it. So ditch the old way of selling your car and say hello to the new way at Carvana.
Hey there, welcome to Scripps News Live. Great to see you on this Thursday. I'm Veronica Cruz. Let's get you caught up on the day's top stories right now. Ecuador is under a state of emergency 1 day after a presidential candidate was assassinated at a campaign rally. Fernando Villavicencio had vowed to fight drug cartels and corruption. Ecuador's president suggested organized crime might be behind his killing. Villavicencio reported receiving multiple death threats in the past. Authorities are hoping lower winds will help them gain control over wildfires causing so much devastation in Hawaii right now. So far, there are 36 confirmed deaths, but officials are fearing that number will rise. The popular Maui tourist destination of Lahaina largely destroyed. A woman who lived there shares her harrowing escape.
It happened so fast. People stuck in traffic trying to get out, and there's flame on both sides of the road, like something out of a horror movie.
The airport in Maui packed after authorities have been asking tourists to leave the island. American, United, Southwest, and Hawaiian Airlines all waiving fees for passengers who want to rebook their flights to Hawaii. President Biden is at a Salt Lake City Veterans Center today, marking the 1-year anniversary of the PACT Act. The law expanded benefits for veterans exposed to toxic chemicals through burn pits, Agent Orange, or in other ways. Assistance is also available for their beneficiaries. While many vets welcome the funds, getting them has been another matter. One man shared his frustrations with Scripps News Tucson's Andrew Christensen.
Taking up to 16 pills a day is a regular routine for Navy veteran Samba Jarju. It helps his heart, arthritis, seizures, and other health issues.
Some days are better than others. Some days I can't function.
It's a tough pill to swallow for Jarju, knowing his health issues are linked to his time serving abroad. For 5 years, he was exposed to toxic burn pits and things like depleted uranium and lead.
So many of my symptoms were ignored because they said, you're too young to have this.
Back in 2018, doctors told him they didn't find evidence his health issues were linked to the burn pits and exposures. Because of that, he didn't qualify for the burn pit registry.
You have to start acknowledging and not minimizing the issues that people are having.
After seeing his primary care doctor, he had to go through a process to reprove his health conditions, which he says was traumatizing.
You have a whole generation that's going to be dealing with this stuff.
About a year ago, he also had to submit an intent to file for the benefits.
Not knowing what's on the other end with the care, to me, it's a little worrying.
To the PACT Act eligibility.
On the phone, Jarju says the VA took hours to get to him.
That process, it just feels like a loop.
After getting disconnected, he went to the VA in person.
I've had a few veterans tell me that they're waiting hours on the phone. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to help them through that process?
In Phoenix, we brought in over 500 people just since January alone, so we're staffing up significantly.
Chris Norton, the director of the Phoenix VA, tells me the average phone wait time is 15 to 25 minutes. He says people outside of Phoenix can schedule an appointment online. In the last week of July, the VA says they got over 23,000 calls nationwide. And as the sun sets on the deadline, Jarju says the VA is finally recognizing people like him.
You aren't just something that can be thrown away after service.
A report in ProPublica contains new details about Justice Clarence Thomas's life off the bench. It says that 2 billionaires and 2 millionaires have treated Thomas to 38 destination vacations, 26 private plane flights, a dozen VIP passes to professional and college sporting events, and more. And not many of these events were ever mentioned in financial disclosures.
There are rules in place. But a lot of them are being followed by the justices voluntarily. They say that they choose to follow certain regulations around accepting gifts that all the lower courts have to follow. And this is what a lot of the experts we talk to think is the biggest problem, is the appearance of impropriety, the optics of all this, how it erodes trust.
There is no evidence any of the trips broke the law. In fact, some of Justice Thomas's friends have been complaining of a smear job. Others say there clearly needs to be a revised code of conduct for the High Court. Former President Trump didn't appear in a Florida courtroom today. His lawyer entered a not guilty plea on his behalf over new charges in the classified documents case. Trump's 2 co-defendants were in court for the arraignment, though one was unable to enter a plea. National political correspondent Avajoy Burnett brings us the latest.
2 of former President Trump's co-defendants were in a Florida courtroom today. Let's start out with Walt Nauta. He entered the courtroom just before 10, and he has entered a not guilty plea once again. Remember, this is the case that has to do with that classified documents investigation, but they're having to enter a plea once again because there were new charges in this case. The former President Donald Trump, he was not in the courtroom. He waived his right to appear. He also entered a plea of not guilty once again. But the new co-defendant in this case, his name is Carlos de Oliveira. He was here, he was inside the courtroom as well, and he apparently had issues with obtaining the proper representation, the proper attorney, so that he could enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. This could potentially be significant because this delay once again could slow down the process to a speedy trial. We want to give you a quick recap of where the dates stand with Carlos de Oliveira. After that new indictment came out, his initial court appearance was on July 31st. His arraignment should have been today, and this is where he would enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. But because he does not have the proper representation, the arraignment has been pushed off once again until next week, Tuesday. We're also learning new information from a court filing in which the former president and his legal team, they're pushing for the ability for him to be able to review those classified documents either in or near his home. So this could be either at Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster. And the former president is saying that this is something that would be more convenient for him. We want to show you a portion of the argument that they're trying to make to the court. They said this request is based on the immense practical and logistical hurdles and costs that make it virtually impossible for President Trump to make regular trips to a public facility. And what he's talking about when he mentions a public facility here, it's what's known as a SCIF, a secure facility where officials are able to look at classified documents, at sensitive documents. But prosecutors, on the other hand, they want for there to be a designated area, a designated SCIF, and not at the former president's home or even near the former president's home. This is what they said. They said there's no basis for the defendant's request that he be given the extraordinary authority to discuss classified information at his residence. And it is particularly striking that he seeks permission to do so in the very location at which he's charged with willfully retaining the documents charged in this case. We spoke with a former federal prosecutor about this matter, about how the judge could potentially rule.
They want to spend less time, I guess, traveling. But I would think the judge is going to sort of move this on the side of protecting the documents in the process, because we know one thing, there are clearly documents in there that are considered classified, that has security implications. And if you're the judge, I don't think you want to take any kind of chances that some document ends up in a place that's accessible to anyone other than people with security clearances.
The ultimate decision on if the former president will be able to view these classified documents in or near his home will be up to the judge. Avajoy Burnett, Scripps News, Washington.
All right, Avajoy, thank you so much for that. 9 Michigan Republicans who served as fake electors in 2020 pleaded not guilty to felony charges today. 7 others professed their innocence during previous court appearances. Prosecutors say they played a role in President Trump's effort to overturn election results in 7 states. Each defendant faces 8 felony counts. The group includes a former member of the Republican National Committee, a mayor, and a school board member. A Republican presidential hopeful widens the political division in his state. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is suspending the state's only black female state attorney, Democrat Monique Worrell. Scripps News' Sophia Hernandez has her response.
Wednesday morning, the news broke out.
Accordingly, I am today announcing the suspension of State Attorney Monique Worrell from the 9th Judicial Circuit, effective immediately.
Governor Ron DeSantis, flanked by other state and local leaders, making it clear Worrell out of office is a non-negotiable.
Prosecutors do have a certain amount of discretion about which cases to bring and which not. But what this state attorney has done is abuse that discretion and has effectively nullified certain laws in the state of Florida. That breaches her duties that she owes to the people of Florida under our state constitution and provides the basis for the suspension.
In a 40-page executive order, the governor pointed out 6 major areas of concern, including the office avoiding minimum mandatory sentences for gun crimes and drug trafficking offenses, and allowing juvenile offenders to avoid serious charges and incarceration altogether. Shortly after the announcement, Worrell defended herself.
We are making sure that when cases are brought, that they are brought within the context of the law. So I'm not going to feed into those political narratives because we know that the governor has been searching for a reason.
Worrell has been under the spotlight various times throughout the last year, most recently last week when 2 Orlando police officers were shot. The suspect was killed Saturday after a SWAT team spent hours in a barricade around an Orlando hotel. The 28-year-old man, a lengthy criminal history, arrested multiple times, but was out on bail in June. The blame was placed on Worrell. She addressed concerns Monday and again on Wednesday, saying she believes her unconventional and different approach to justice is being used as a smokescreen for DeSantis' presidential campaign.
We all know that this is not about policy or anything that I've actually done. The governor and his cronies have been searching for a reason for my suspension for well over a year now. That's right. And I am not aware of any actual articulable reason that has been given.
The news spread to state representatives and those in the 9th Circuit via email and in the courtroom. Some left outraged. On Wednesday, Worrell said that she will be filing a lawsuit. Her legal team is currently briefing on an administrative order to see what happens next. Now, the Senate president says that they will be holding off on investigations into DeSantis' executive order until Worrell has explored all legal options. Now, the Senate has the final say into whether or not Worrell stays in or out of office. Now, Worrell made it clear on Wednesday that she will be running for re-election for state attorney's office. Sophia Hernandez reporting.
And still ahead on Scripps News Live, our investigation into how thousands of bridges in this country are in need of immediate repair but aren't getting fixed. That's next. And a reminder that you can find our stories and much more online. You can always check us out at scripsnews.com, also on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and on Threads. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kirk Kaiser, and did you know the average funeral costs around $10,000? And if you don't have enough insurance to cover funeral costs, credit card debt, and other expenses, your family is going to get stuck with the bill. Don't let that happen. Call right now. And if you're over 50, you can get up to $30,000 in affordable life insurance, and your acceptance is guaranteed. That's right. If you're over 50, you can't be turned down for this insurance, regardless of your health. Plus, there's no medical exam and no health questions. Your rate will never go up. Your coverage will never go down. And rates start as low as $5 a week. Your coverage begins as soon as your application is received. Don't wait until it's too late.
Just call 800-760-7793.
Coverage is guaranteed regardless of your health and cannot be canceled without your approval. Don't leave your family with a huge bill for your funeral. With one fast and easy call, get up to $30,000 in affordable life insurance to help cover funeral expenses and credit card debt, and maybe even leave something for your kids and your grandkids. Remember, if you're over 50, you can't be turned down, regardless of your health. There's no medical exam and no health questions. Best of all, your rates start as low as $5 a week, and your rate will never increase. Nothing is more important than family. So don't leave them with a lot of bills to pay when you're gone. Don't leave your family with a lot of bills to pay for your funeral. Call right now. Acceptance is guaranteed. Call right now.
Call now. Call 800-760-7793. That's 800-760-7793.
If you're one of the many people struggling financially right now, Bridget's got your back. They'll send you $50 to $250 instantly, with no credit check or interest.
Download the Bridget app today and get $50 to $250 instantly.
The Omaha Steaks Anniversary Sale is here. For over a century, we've guaranteed the highest quality in everything we offer. To celebrate, we're offering you 50% off site-wide. That means you'll save 50% and get our 100% guarantee that you'll love every bite. Never tried Omaha Steaks? Save an extra $30 with promo code FIRSTTIME. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today.
Once upon a time,
why drag?
I think they have every right to do what they want to do.
But they don't have every right.
We don't want your straight child to turn gay. We want your gay child to survive.
Millions of Americans will drive over bridges today in need of major repair. A Scripps News investigation airing tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern finds 14,000 bridges stuck in disrepair coast to coast. And that's despite a push to fix bridges nationwide. National investigative reporter Patrick Terpstra joins us now live with a preview. And Patrick, I understand that you went to Pittsburgh for this investigation. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, Veronica, so Pittsburgh has hundreds of bridges. It's actually known as the City of Bridges. It's also where you may recall that a bridge collapsed last year, injuring 10 people. So we wanted to go to Pittsburgh to see how are the bridges now. We were surprised to see that many of them are in disrepair. And when we zoomed out and looked all over the country, we found lots more bridge problems everywhere. Some 14,000 bridges identified in a Scripps News analysis have been rated in poor condition for at least a decade. Altogether, they carry more than 46 million passengers every day.
That list, that number is not going to go down.
Kent Harries is a structural engineering professor at the University of Pittsburgh. How did we get to a point as a country where so many bridges are in so much need?
Neglect. We've been neglecting our infrastructure pretty much since we built it.
The list of bridges needing repair or replacement spans the entire country. There's the nearly 100-year-old Magnolia Bridge in Seattle, weakened by an earthquake in 2001. In Massachusetts, it'll take $4 billion to replace the ailing Sagamore and Bourne bridges connecting Cape Cod. And outside Denver, a bridge going over 6 lanes of US 85 has spindly cracks all over the bottom of its concrete deck. So tonight we're going to take you to a bridge in Pittsburgh that you just have to see to believe. Veronica, let me show you this. These are pieces of the California Avenue Bridge in Pittsburgh that fall from this bridge every single day. These are decades-old, rusted-out pieces. So we're going to talk to the mayor of Pittsburgh about what is going on here. Why can't you get the funding and the help that your city needs to fix all of these bridges? Again, when you look at the whole country, millions of motorists, millions of people are on these bridges every day. Veronica.
It is such a scary thought, Patrick, and we know that the money to fix these bridges would, of course, come from taxpayer dollars. Is the government doing enough here when it comes to these ailing bridges?
Well, so that's the thing. The Biden administration has said they have this blitz of bridge building going on, and that is true. There's been a huge investment through the bipartisan infrastructure law to really start to tackle the backlog of ailing bridges. But what we have found is it's just not enough, and it is not keeping pace with all of the bridges every day that start to slip into disrepair. Tens of thousands of bridges that are either fair or poor and that need major work. Veronica.
Wow. All right. Patrick Terpstra live for us there in Washington. We look forward to your report tonight. Don't forget, you can watch it as well tonight on Scripps News. That is 8 p.m. Eastern. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, details on today's historic flight helping to pave the way for the future of space tourism. Plus, a closer look at the efforts to diversify the comic book industry and the Black-owned company that is leading the way.
Comics exist outside of superhero comics, but even outside of that, you can see yourself in those comics as well. You can create them yourself too.
We're going to hear much more about a comic creator's mission to inspire Black and brown people sharing their stories. We'll be right back.
If you have this, and you get this, you could end up with this. Unexpected out-of-pocket costs, which for those on Medicare or soon to be, is a good reason to take charge of your health care. So consider this, an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan from United Healthcare. Why? Because Medicare alone doesn't pay for everything. And what it doesn't pay for, like deductibles and copays, could really add up, even thousands of dollars a year. Medicare supplement plans help by paying some of what Medicare doesn't, and making your out-of-pocket costs a lot more predictable. Call United Healthcare today and ask for your free decision guide. Learn more about plan options and rates to fit your needs. Now, if you like this, greater freedom, you'll love that Medicare supplement plans have no networks and no referrals needed. See any doctor, any specialist, anywhere in the U.S., as long as they accept Medicare patients. These types of plans also give you more flexibility when traveling in the U.S. Your plan goes with you, anywhere you go in the country. Even better, these are the only plans of their kind endorsed by AARP. Call United Healthcare today for your free decision guide. So if you have this and want less out-of-pocket costs and more peace of mind, consider adding this, an AARP Medicare supplement plan. Take charge of your healthcare today. Just use this or this to call United Healthcare about an AARP Medicare supplement plan.
Meet Pair Eyewear, the only glasses brand that lets you change your glasses like you change your clothes. With hundreds of designs, Pair makes it easy to match your style and build a collection you'll love. Shop now at paireyewear.com.
All eyes on me, 'cause I make it look easy. Yeah, I make it look easy. God with the top down, yeah, I make it look breezy. Like ABC, it's just too easy. I make it look easy. Come on.
There's a better way to begin your mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Rush.
Get the stories that will shape each day,
Definitely a lot of folks talking about this.
so you can get on with yours. Morning Rush, weekday mornings starting at 7, 6 Central, only on Scripps News.
Quick reminder, we'd like to hear from you. Give us a call on our Scripps News viewer hotline. That number is toll-free, 1-833-4-SCRIPPS. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas. So a Virgin Galactic rocket is back on Earth after carrying its first tourist to space. The space flight took off this morning from New Mexico, carrying 80-year-old former Olympian John Goodwin and a mother-daughter duo from the Caribbean. Goodwin bought his ticket 18 years ago. Now the mom and daughter won tickets to board the flight. And if you too wish to be a part of this experience one day, tickets are pretty expensive. They're going to cost you about $450,000 a piece. Keep your eyes on the skies because this weekend is sure to be a sight for stargazers. The Perseid meteor shower will peak on August 12th and 13th. Officials from Michigan State University say that dozens of meteors are going to zoom across the sky every single hour. People in the northern hemisphere will have the best view. And if you want to see the meteors, experts say to find an area with little to no light pollution. Scripps News is celebrating National Black Business Month. Entertainment correspondent Casey Mendoza shows us how one company is shining a light on marginalized groups within the comic book industry.
Comic book sales in North America made more than $2 billion in 2021. That's up by 60% compared to 2020 sales. And it shows the skyrocketing popularity of comic books, graphic novels, and manga among today's readers. As the industry grows, so too do independent publishers, one of which is using the visual medium to celebrate the stories of Black, brown, and queer artists. The U.S. comic book industry is full of stories about fantastical worlds with superheroes, multiverses, and cartoonishly evil villains. But one writer and publisher is opening the door for stories celebrating real life, and specifically, the real, rich lives of women of color.
I didn't see anything like that in other publishing companies, so I was like, nobody's gonna publish this, and I don't want them to try to make me change the story to be like whitewashed or anything. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it myself.
In an industry where less than half of all comic book writers are women and fewer than 6% are Black, according to research from the job recruiting platform Zippia, Jamila Rouser is on a mission to support her favorite Black and brown artists. The Eisner-nominated writer of Wash Day Diaries is also the founder of Black Jose Press, an indie comic publisher for women of color and queer artists. Its name, Josei, comes from the genre of Japanese manga or graphic novels written specifically for older teens and women. It's less action and superheroes and more about everyday life, romance, and friendship.
That's like a big goal of mine, is for folks who have never read comics before, like come across Black Josei comics and are like, what? I didn't know comics could be about this. And so that makes me happy, because the more different kinds of readers we get, the better the industry will be.
The original Wash Day comic, a slice of life story inspired by Rouser's own rituals of Black hair care, was the first title from Black Jose Press. Written by Rouser and illustrated by artist Robin Smith, the short comic was funded via Kickstarter in 2018, garnering more than $16,000 from fans. In 2022, the longer graphic novel Wash Day Diaries was published by Chronicle Books, garnering the LA Times Book Prize for Graphic Novels and an Eisner Award nomination for Best Publication for Teens.
And I want to show people, especially people of color, women of color, that one, comics exist outside of superhero comics, but even outside of that, you can see yourself in those comics as well. You can create them yourself too.
Through Black Jose Press, Rouser hopes to continue centering the work of women of color and queer artists. She notes it's not an easy mission, especially as a small independent publisher. But Rouser says it's worth the hard work to give artists the freedom to tell their own stories, and for readers, more opportunities to see their lived experiences represented in the comic book world.
Comics, especially indie comics, small presses, we don't do it for the money. We do it for the love.
Casey Mendoza, Scripps News, San Diego.
Great story. All right, Swifties, pay attention, listen up, because Taylor Swift has announced another remake of one of her popular albums, 1989. And she made the announcement during one of her final U.S. concerts in her record-breaking Eras tour. The upcoming Taylor's version is going to be released on October 27th, so make sure that you mark your calendar. It's going to feature 16 reworked songs and 5 new songs from the vaults. I'm Veronica Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us today. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. Don't forget, you can always check us out on scripsnews.com. Now, if you are staying with us, we have much more news headed your way right now on Scripps News Live. I will be back with you at 3 p.m. Eastern.